Welcome back to What She Said Sports, everybody. This is Shanola Girl checking in. All right, so I put together a great show for you today, and let's get right to it. All right, so as you can see on my screen, this is the midday huddle. So I have approximately 1 hour to get going and to share what's going on in the Shedeur Sanders space with the Cleveland Browns and the media. All right, so y'all may have heard that there is a journalist, supposed to be a professional journalist with a long track record of covering sports in Ohio, who represents the Athletic. Also, what has written for the New York Post out of New York, where the NFL is headquartered. Currently makes appearances on, I think, one of the local stations in Cleveland. Is catching fire, basically, and rightfully so. For what? For regurgitating false, proven false, defamatory statements about Shedeur Sanders. So let's get into it. His name is Jason Lloyd. And y'all may have heard about this already. And we're going to take a listen and react. This is a live reaction to what he said. Now, I listened to these clips and something immediately jumped out at me. A few things immediately jumped out at me with Mr. Lloyd professing to be a journalist, right? This is his profession. We don't know if he was educated in this realm, but apparently he's dedicated his life work to being a journalist. Now, I want you to remember something about a journalist. One of the most obvious things about a journalist is they're expected to be neutral. They're expected to be neutral. They're not expected to be biased. And more importantly, they're expected to do research. Research, something we do over here at What She Said Sports. So let's get into it, right? I'm going to play the first take, and then we'll go from there. This is the original take, and then there's his reaction, and then there's something else I want to share that indicates that his professionalism is lacking.
I've talked to enough people and heard so much about him that's not very good. So what am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to play dumb and just come in here and be like, yeah, play the kid, let's give it a shot? When you hear over and over and over again, doesn't really watch a ton of film, had to kind of be shown how to watch film, doesn't know when he's hot, doesn't know what he's looking at in coverages. Am I supposed to ignore all that? And then when you look at the data, it is what it is. And he didn't play well. I think with Shedeur is I've talked to enough people and heard.
All right, so let's talk about this clip, right? What's his first mistake? I've heard he didn't do any research. He didn't watch any film. I heard. So it proves that what I'm saying is correct. He is listening to what people are telling him, and he's not verifying if he's being lied to, and he's spreading provenly false, defamatory statements about Shedeur that are easily verifiable. Easily verifiable. If you studied this kid for just the last 2 years, one in the NFL and one at Colorado. But let's not go all the way back. There's a clip that comes to mind when Shedeur was at Jackson State. He was having a conversation with select QB way back at Jackson State. Looked like his first year. He was so young. You know what he was doing? Sitting there watching film. Because that's all he does. Then there's a homecoming video where Shedeur left the event to go watch film. Everybody knows that Shedeur watches film. So Jason Lloyd, who's supposed to be a professional journalist, listened to what people were saying and decided to repeat it. What was his motivation to repeat unverifiable information by? He didn't even verify it. He didn't do an ounce of research. He lazily repeated the lies that he was given. And that's on him. And he should suffer the consequences for spreading defamatory information and trying to slander this young man's reputation. What he shouldn't have any further, that I did the research, he should not have access to the Cleveland Browns for his irresponsible take, in his lack of professionalism, in his obvious bias against Shedeur Sanders. That is likely the motivation that led him to repeat lies with no research, didn't verify it. He shouldn't be considered a credible source. Now that we see his lack of professionalism, his lazy takes. This is pure laziness from a journalist. This is not even a journalist. This is hearsay, which even is not admissible in a court of law. And if he bothered to do any type of research on this young man, research that most journalists, especially award-winning good journalists with credibility, do, they can stand on their stories because they did the research. What did he say? I heard, they told me. So lazy, just lazy and unprofessional. Shouldn't even call himself a journalist. He's just a repeater of lies and stale takes. So I guess since Stefanski's gone, they need somebody else to try to abuse this kid, and enters Jason Lloyd. Any access to the Browns should be revoked for Jason Lloyd. He has no integrity, none. And obviously his mission is to destroy. So what does it say about the Browns if they continuously allow this man access to the players, including Shedeur, knowing he's intentionally spreading false information? He's intentionally spreading misinformation. Don't these apps have policies against that? But here he is allowed to spew it, and then he'll be allowed to get next to the player that he's spewing falsehoods about, defamatory statements about, as if it wasn't enough in the damn draft. Listen to what he said one more time. He didn't research a damn thing. Just lazy. No credibility at all. And no integrity either.
I've talked to enough people and heard so much about him that's not very good. So what am I supposed to do with that? Am I supposed to play dumb and just come in here and be like, yeah, play the kid. Let's give it a shot.
No, you're supposed to do some damn research. That's what you're supposed to do. What am I supposed to do when somebody tells me he don't watch film? Well, by profession, you're supposed to not be lazy. You're supposed to go do some damn research and look into it for yourself. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to do your goddamn job, Jason Lloyd, instead of out here spreading misinformation, attacking somebody that was previously attacked with the same proven false information. If you had just lifted your pinky and bothered to Google, you would see that he watches film. But you chose to be lazy because you're motivated by bias. What am I supposed to do? Your damn job and do some research. If you're a journalist and you're supposed to be neutral, you're supposed to research, you're supposed to look into it for yourself. You take the information that was given and you verified, and you did not. So you failed at your job, Jason Lloyd. You have zero credibility in this space. You should not have access to the Browns, and definitely not to the players, because you clearly have failed at your job. No research. Well, what am I supposed to do? What a lazy take. Just absolutely lazy. Choosing to be willfully ignorant. And he wants to know why he's under fire.
Looking at in coverages. Am I supposed to ignore all that? And then when you look at the data, it is what it is.
He looked at the data, but he didn't look at any film. Can data not be misrepresented? Well, I mean, did you look at the Bills game? Because we just talked about it. We watched the Bills versus the Browns again, and guess what? We saw that the Browns head coach at the time, Kevin Stefanski, did everything imaginable to keep the Browns, his own team, from winning the game or at least tying it up. In fact, number 13, who took the ball and threw it to the goddamn cameraman instead of kicking a field goal or allowing the kicker to kick a field goal, was just re-signed by the Browns. And we're supposed to believe the Browns are serious. If Jason Lloyd still has access to the Browns after his lazy take on Shedeur, which is defamatory, proven false, and failed at his job and has zero credibility as a journalist because he didn't do the job, it means that the Browns are unserious. If this man, Jason Lloyd, from The Athletic, who has written for the Post, who appears on a local radio station called The Fan, still has access to the Browns. Why are we letting people who don't do research have access to players? For what benefit? The Browns will have a lot of explaining to do if Jason Lloyd still has access to the Browns. He's not a proven journalist, and you're supposed to have some type of pedigree or some type of resume to get access to these NFL teams. So what is he supposed to do? Your damn job. So moving right along, he wants to explain why it is that, he's never seen anything like this. So we already know, for context, if you're just not joining us, we're listening to Jason Lloyd try to explain why his lazy take on Shedeur has come under fire. The reason why I have dubbed it lazy is because he didn't do any research, and he wants to sit there and shrug his shoulders and say, well, they told me that he doesn't watch film. What am I supposed to do? You're supposed to do your damn job and do some research, because you're supposed to be a damn professional journalist. That's what you're supposed to do, your damn job. But no, he issued a lazy take, and he's coming under fire for it, and rightfully so. So this is the next video. Well, he's supposed to be saying in this video that he's never seen anything like this. He's never seen anything like this in terms of one person telling him one thing and what's actually true being different. And I'm thinking to myself, so you don't know what collusion is? That's what he said. He's never seen anything like this. That's what this is. I don't know why it's not advancing, but it's okay. So his latest response to his original take that I just played was, I've been doing this for 25 years and I've never seen anything like this. I've never seen where what they're saying is the direct opposite of the reality. Well, you would have known that had you done some research. You would have known you were being lied to. You would have known that you were repeating lies. And maybe you actually knew you were repeating lies, and now you're coming out and you're saying what? Well, I've never seen anything like this. So you've never seen collusion on this level in the NFL. Enters the Max Crosby botched trade that fans are calling gross and despicable. For the GM of the Ravens misrepresenting an NFL player's health for his own benefit. Now, whether it was malicious or reckless, it was harmful to Max Crosby. And the Ravens should have already fired the GM, DaCosta. And if the longer this goes on, and depending on how it ends, is it collusion also? We already know there's a 61-page document for collusion.
Said was, enough people have said things like, doesn't watch a ton of film, doesn't really know how to watch film, had to sort of be shown how to watch film, doesn't know what he's looking at on the field, doesn't know when he's hot, all this stuff. And people just lost their minds over it. I've been doing this 25 years.
He hasn't gotten any better during the year about that.
I have never seen a story like this where what is said behind the doors and the public narrative is this far off.
The public narrative. So what is said behind closed doors? He's telling you he was told these things behind closed doors. Is he insinuating that it came from the Browns? Is he insinuating that it came from the NFL? Did the people who told it to him have any goddamn credibility? And then he's saying that he's trying to discuss the disparity between what he was told in the public narrative. How about the goddamn truth? Once again, no research. So he's not trying to absolve Shedeur from the lies that he told about Shedeur. He's not trying to say I was wrong. He's trying to say behind closed doors, they're saying that this kid is lazy, that he doesn't watch any film. You know who's lazy? You know whose take is lazy? Jason Lloyd, because now he's under fire. His reputational damage is escalating. So now he's basically throwing people under the bus. Well, this is what they told me behind closed doors. Behind closed doors where? At McDonald's? Where did you hear this behind closed doors? Where? McDonald's? Reveal your source or shut the hell up. Behind closed doors could be at your house or at your grandma's house. Does that mean what information you received was credible? You're trying to insinuate you were told this from high up to say behind closed doors. Once again, failing at his job. And you want to compare it to the gap in realness against the public narrative, but you bothered again to do zero research. And now you want to say you've never seen anything like this because you got yourself caught up in the crosshairs between a lie and the damn truth. The public narrative is the goddamn truth. And the lies are coming from you, Jason Lloyd, and behind closed doors because you chose to repeat the proven false information. Jason Lloyd has lazily spread false information about Shedeur Sanders, and now he wants to clean it up by telling us it's being said behind closed doors. We don't give a damn what they saying behind closed doors. We give a damn what you repeated publicly. And you should have did some damn research. And if this is not your area of expertise, you should have shut your damn mouth. Instead, you want to defame this kid after we watched this kid get defamed by the NFL itself. So to hell with you, Jason Lloyd. We're not going to sit by and let you try to disrupt this young man's reputation, his career, or his mental health. He don't have to say a damn word. We coming for you, Jason Lloyd, because do you know we can see you? You chose to be lazy, and you go catch these goddamn consequences, and you go catch these goddamn words. You need to be banned from any Browns facility because clearly you don't know how to do your damn job and do some damn research, but you seem comfortable repeating lies from behind closed doors, which could be McDonald's, your grandmama house, or the public restroom at the goddamn truck stop, for all we know. You have no credibility to stand on talking about behind closed doors. We don't give a damn what they saying behind closed doors because they don't have the courage to say it in public. But you had the audacity to repeat some stale, proven false, defamatory statements to try to ruin the reputation and valuation of Shedeur Sanders. And as fans, we watched that shit happen in the draft. And you want to come with this bullshit today? Oh, you gonna catch it, sir. You gonna catch it. You chose to light a fire to your reputation and your credibility as a journalist. You chose to be lazy and issue defamatory statements that were already proven false following the goddamn draft. You chose to pick up where Stefanski left off to try to derail this young man's career. Well, you let them play you. And you know, as a journalist, hearsay is not admissible in court. So you should have shut your damn mouth or you should have did some damn research. But you chose to be careless and reckless like the GM in Baltimore behind Max Crosby's botched trade, which proves a goddamn pattern of collusion. And when you put that with the pattern of collusion from last year's 61-page damn document, it appears that collusion is running rampant in the NFL, just like racism is rife in the NFL. You chose to be biased. And it's not your first time spreading misinformation. And every time you do, just know we can see you. You chose to be lazy. Now you need to deal with the consequences of your laziness, your lack of credibility. And this next clip might explain why it is that he's so goddamn biased towards Shedeur Sanders.
Competent. I do think he's going to get them into the right calls. I think he can get them lined up. I think he can complete passes, get the ball out quickly, and keep the chains moving and not turn the ball over. And that's what they're looking for right now. I think he's going to surprise people. There are other quarterbacks smaller, his size.
What he's talking about, to give you context, is he's praising Dylan, saying Dylan is what the Browns were looking for. Again, another display that this man has no credibility. He's clearly not an expert on the subject of football and clearly just wants to kind of skate by on behind closed doors. And again, it hasn't been proven if the doors were closed at McDonald's, a truck stop, or his grandmama's house. So this is somebody that has zero credibility, that's pretended to be an expert because somewhere along the line in the last 25 years, he wrote a few things down. But clearly he does no research. So how many articles has he put out disparaging NFL athletes without any research? These are the consequences of spreading falsehoods and defamatory information that has been proven false. And you do no research. So now people need to go back and look at every statement you have written to see if it's verifiable or if you will once again, what am I supposed to do? That's what they told me. Repeating lies, doing no research, issuing lazy takes for profit or for your own bias and motivation. So he's clearly in love with Dylan. That's his problem.
I do think he's going to get them into the right calls. I think he can get them lined up. I think he can complete passes, get the ball out quickly, and keep the chains moving and not turn the ball over. And that's what they're looking for.
Talking about Dylan can get the ball out quickly, keep the chains moving, and not turn the ball over. We didn't see any of that. So once again, this tape from, I guess, last year coming into the season or somewhere along the line, he's out here doing what? Campaigning for Dylan. He's putting the narrative out there that Dylan is what the Browns are looking for. Failure? And then here he is back this year trying to disparage Shedeur. Why? We pointed it out last night. If you were with us, what did I tell you was the reason this is happening? Because Shedeur is sitting at QB1 on the updated depth chart for the Browns, which is why they want to hold the competition, why they scratch their heads, their collective brains that are clearly the size of a pea, and try to find a way to box the competition or make it not matter again this year or set him up again this year. But Stefanski's gone, so who's going to do it? Monken clearly is not interested in being a public saboteur of Shedeur. But this guy right here, Jason Lloyd, is weaponizing his words to derail this young man's reputation as a professional football player, to devalue him so that no team will believe in him, just like what was done in the draft. And what was the outcome? So instead of anonymous sources running around within the NFL, you have a journalist who's supposed to be a journalist on the record spreading misinformation about an NFL player ahead of his upcoming season is in a hope to do what? Derail his career? He needs to explain himself. Were you trying to derail his career? Hearsay is not admissible in court. You should have not repeated it, and you should have done research to know that it was a lie and it was already proven false and defamatory. Just because people haven't sued from what happened in the draft last year doesn't mean they still can't or others cannot. Fans are sick and tired of seeing this campaign, this war waged against one player in the NFL, the same way we're watching war be waged against one player, one quarterback, one black quarterback, waged against war against him by the NCAA in college football. So the more elite a black quarterback is, the more of a target they are for misinformation campaigns and defamatory statements to try to derail the reputation. And Shedeur has to come out here and compete again to prove himself again. Absolutely not. The Browns are making it more difficult for Shedeur, and so is Jason Lloyd. If you're making someone's career more difficult, someone's career path littered with obstacles, you're trying to derail that person's career. And that's exactly what Jason Lloyd is doing. And to come out and be an advocate for Dylan when everything you're saying about Dylan is proven false after a season plays out, proves you have zero credibility, no football knowledge, and you're likely, like Stefanski, a hired hand to derail Shedeur Sanders' career. And fans not going to let you do it. That's why you out here campaigning today, that you've never seen anything like this. You want me to believe that in 25 years, if you've covered the NFL, you've never seen collusion on this level? Do you know who Lamar Jackson is? I bet you know who Max Crosby is. And what happened to McDermott of the Bills? And then you can go right there to the Browns players, and I can call off a list of roster names, including Njoku, Wyatt Teller, Tony Brown, Joe Flacco, Myles Garrett, that it appears that they've been retaliated against. And then there's another list of people that appear to be compromised. And who were they compromised by? The same people you were compromised by, Jason Lloyd? The next time somebody send you to put yourself in a line of fire to spread defamatory information, misinformation, falsehoods against Shedeur Sanders, you better think twice. Because do you know we can see you and we will show up. You have no excuses for the lazy takes on Shedeur Sanders, for the lack of research, for the falsehoods, for the defamatory statements, for the bias you have weaponized against this young man's career and him as a person. I'm sure you may have children or you know some. Attacking people's children is off limits. Trying to derail another person's career is unethical. You need to tread carefully with your words, sir. Maybe start doing your job and start doing some research instead of choosing a lazy take, seemingly as a hired hand. So his take on Dylan is the almighty in terms of football. He's a heroic, he can do this. He's Superman, Captain America, all rolled into one. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's why he's going out the door with a late round pick. That's why they barely want to whimper his name, because they want you to forget he's over there. That's why in one of Andrew Berry's press conference, he told you point blank, Dylan will be great somewhere else. We haven't forgotten about him. We know he's here, but he'll be great somewhere else. He was letting you know. They have no intentions for him, but the Browns haven't explained why it is they wasted a third round pick on him. Just because the fancy's gone does not absolve the Browns for wasting a third round pick on Dylan. And they need to explain why Shedeur was made to be put behind Dylan when Shedeur proved better than Dylan in NFL training camp with the competition that the Browns set up. But they want to run it back again. I suggest they tread carefully as well. Because do you know that we can see you? You come for Shedeur, 20 million people coming for you. We looking for accountability and new ownership. No point in waiting around.
Right now, I think he's going to surprise people. There are other quarterbacks smaller, his size and smaller, who've had success. In terms of the mental side of the game, I have no concerns about Dylan on that. Arm strength, no concerns. He
had absolutely no concerns about Dylan. Once again, it just proves that Jason Lloyd is not credible in the space of football. He might be an Ohio reporter on basketball or maybe football. He might be relatively new to baseball, but he might be relatively new to football. But the bottom line is he's not a credible journalist. That is the takeaway from today, because I did my research. Jason Lloyd did not. He chose to spew defamatory statements and lies based on his own bias and motivation, and likely at the behest of others behind closed doors. Let me see what y'all are thinking. Welcome back. Hey, Selmo, how you doing? Hey, Ramon, thank you for holding it down, fam. Thank you. Barry Johnson. They said Jason Lloyd is a recurring host of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show and a guest on The Fan. His takes are pure garbage, no research, and everything is hearsay. Why do they keep bringing somebody back? There needs to be consequences for this. There needs to be consequences for issuing persistently defamatory statements in an effort to derail a professional athlete's career. Just like the Baltimore Ravens, right? According to the Raiders, they purely misrepresented Max Crosby's health to get out of a deal. And while Max Crosby was there signing his deal, they were negotiating. It's reported, because research, right? It's reported that while Max Crosby was in the building signing his deal, they were still negotiating with Hendrickson. And now they want to come out in damage control, just like this guy. I've never seen anything like this. So you've never seen collusion to this level in the NFL. I find that very hard to believe. Just with Lamar Jackson alone, hell, Taylor Green, CJ Stroud, and Shedeur Sanders, and I can keep going. Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, and you've never seen collusion like this, you must be new to the NFL. And that's why they use you to stand in the line of fire and commit career suicide. Because clearly you have no idea of what the hell you are doing. And you clearly don't understand that Shedeur is what? The most Googled athlete in the world? And that's who you want to take a lazy take at? with misinformation, proving false, defamatory information after fans were lured to watch something like that last year in the draft? Absolutely not. There's a whole petition out here by longtime Browns fans who are sick and tired of the Browns and want accountability or new ownership, and you don't decide to do research on that. Maybe because the Browns keep inviting you. You need to start looking at the people that are asking you to off your career. You have no credibility. And shows that are bringing these people on, they have no credibility, which is why I keep saying y'all need to be careful about where you spend your time and what you allow into your mental space. Hey, how you doing, Faith? How you doing? It said 12 was taught how to watch film since middle school. Who died and left this person in charge? I know that's right. That's what I'm saying. Just any amount of research. And when you think about, Shedeur, and you think about his father, they're trying to basically, if you ask me, attack Coach Prime's football legacy. That's what this is, right? Like there was a story that went out today that talked about Tony Dungy, 70 years old, will be the NFL informed him that he won't be coming back to whatever show he was on. I said, why you put his age in here? I said Pete Carroll is 74 years old and was just the Raiders head coach. So why you put Tony Dungy's age up first before you told us what's going on? And you see how they disrespect Black people. And Jason Lloyd is very guilty of that. Being very disrespectful towards Shedeur while being complimentary and elevating and if you exaggerating the skill set of Dylan. So let's get this straight. You're tearing down Shedeur with false information and you're building Dylan up with lies. And what the hell is your goal? It appears to be racially motivated. Because why else would you come out here with no research? Because you think that you could get away with it. Well, you cannot. You cannot. And he has figured that out. And no amount of behind closed doors. We don't give a damn what they say behind closed doors. They some cowards. That's why they sent you, the fool, to come out here and take the heat. Because Stefanski's gone. So who's next? That's why Munkin, I know Munkin told them, look, I'm not coming over there to do all that. I'm not publicly sabotaging him. That's why nobody wanted the OC job in Philadelphia. It had nothing to do with Jalen Hurts. They didn't want to be the Stefanski in Philly to publicly sabotage Jalen Hurts because they trying to disrupt him because he doesn't let them get to him. That's why they didn't want the job. Faith said Jason Lloyd is a paid media critic that's just hired to spread bad narratives. And that's just shameful. I'm like, that leaves him zero credibility as a journalist. It said this person, like the rest of them, have the complexion for the protection. And I think that's why they do it. I think they feel like because they're white that they can tear down a Black athlete and nobody will say anything. But when 20 million people show up, it's like, oh, that's what they said behind closed doors. Who give a damn what nobody told you? You should have learned that in the 3rd grade. You don't repeat lies. You don't repeat mess. You don't repeat gossip and call it facts. But guess what? You feeling that burn on your bum. And you torched your own damn reputation. Mel said Lloyd is repeating the same things he was reporting during training camp and last season. He was speaking for Stefanski. So I was correct. Since Stefanski's gone, he wants to inherit the job of trying to derail Shedeur because Munkin clearly is not going on the record to do it publicly. We don't know what he's going to do privately because he did come from Baltimore. And that organization is about as rancid as it can get. So it surprises me that Jason Lloyd has never seen collusion of this magnitude before when we're seeing it pop up all over the place. And it's not new because Lamar, remember his draft? So it tells me that Jason Lloyd must be fairly new to football, especially NFL football. So what he would want to do is have a seat and shut his mouth, or at least do some goddamn research on these players. Trying to keep the lies going. Right. And what does that tell y'all? it should tell you we didn't realize what was happening in the draft after a season, right? Shedeur is QB1. And they want to paint in the minds of the fans that he isn't, so that when they do something asinine to make sure that he is not QB1, they want to try to enlist the support of fans. You're not going to get it. If you watch one of my most recent videos today, it was in case you missed it. I did a part 1 and part 2 from one of our live streams when we watched the game with the Bills and the Browns. And I talked about how it is that the Browns did everything imaginable to lose that damn game. And we talked about how 20 million people keep showing up for Shedeur. And they seemingly are surprised. But again, it's a lazy take to say you're surprised when Shedeur was one of the most, if not the most, Googled athlete in the world. That means he has a global fan base, something you salivate for, something companies wish that they could magically create, that they pay billions to get. And you know how he got it? Playing football. They want to deny that fact. They are deniers. They lie and deny and deflect and spread misinformation. They are evil. They only mean to destroy, and they think they can get away with it because they think they are the collective that holds the narrative. Because it's true. He who has the microphone controls the narrative. So that's what they think. Faith says she blames Jimmy Haslam, and so do longtime fans, which is why some long-term fans have said they are done with season tickets for the Browns after 26 years. Makes a lot of sense. And the Browns don't learn a valuable lesson. You can send Jason Lloyd out here, or you can allow Jason Lloyd into your space after he comes out at whoever's behest, whoever was talking behind closed doors at the truck stop, or maybe in a high rise in New York, in Manhattan, where the NFL is located. It doesn't matter. The fans run this. And the fans are tired of the Browns, hence their petition for accountability. And if they don't get it, new ownership. And the fans that watch the draft not going to sit back quietly and allow you destroy this young man who globally people love. So the Browns, I'm not going to even suggest they get their act together because they seem to be too arrogant to admit their own faults. And one of their faults is not running a competitive football team. And they're not trying. The Browns are actually being dragged today for one of their signings in free agency. The one I told y'all made absolutely no sense. Zion Johnson. $49 million, seemingly overpaid. There are teams that have lost. The owners had to sell their team. The Washington Commanders. Why? For overpaying veterans. For overpaying unproven talent. And that's on Andrew Berry. He wants to take credit for this. He wants to just do something. He wants to continue the sabotage. That's how you know Shedeur Sanders is QB1. When they brought in a tight end from the Saints, I said, oh, here we go. Shedeur Sanders is QB1. Because you went and got a tight end from the Saints that was part of the prank against Shedeur Sanders because the Ole Miss guy had proprietary information from the goddamn Saints. He didn't pretend to be a GM of, Washington or Kansas City. He pretended to be a GM using Saints information because people thought Shedeur was going to the Saints. So here we go, a tight end from over there. And his job is to be a primary blocker. He's not supposed to catch the ball. He's supposed to block for Shedeur. That's how you know Shedeur is QB1. He's QB1 on the depth chart. I Googled today and was looking for the projected lineup because I do research. The projected lineup for the Browns. And the quarterback is QB1. And it says he might have to compete with Dillon and Deshaun, but currently he's QB1. All of this hatred, I said last night, is coming out because he's QB1. The reason they're talking about a shakeup, because they're out here looking for somebody to come to Cleveland to move Shedeur out of the QB1 spot. The Browns should be planning and strategizing to win, but instead, they're looking for people with their $8 million left in cap space to try to overtake Shedeur as QB1 because Dylan can't do it. And truth is, they don't want Deshaun to do it. The NFL does not want Deshaun out here proving he's good after he's been lied on the entire time. This is like Max Crosby going to another team and balling out with no injuries and passing his physical. They don't want that. And you know they don't want it because the Ravens and people, the media surrounding them, are in damage control mode, lying, saying they were going to get Max Crosby and they was going to get Trey Hendrickson and they were negotiating with Lamar. So you're going to spend $300 million. That's what you was getting ready to do. You think you're going to only give Lamar a $100 million extension? Really? He currently sitting on 230 plus million. So when you extend that, it's going to be that or higher. So how were you going to spend $400 million? You weren't. You're lying. And that's what we're seeing. Lies, cover up, retaliation, intimidation, coercion, the spread of misinformation, defamation, derailment, devaluation, just corruption. And Jason Lloyd wants to be the bearer of corruption like he's Santa Claus on Christmas Day. But instead, he just spreading out misinformation, not gifts. The Baltimore Ravens appear to be a clown show and rancid from the inside. The Browns are no better. But their rancidness keeps leaking on the outside. So you can see it from a distance. And then there's the Falcons, who people are trying to prop up and keep a lid on. And they have one quarterback on their roster in Tua. And they took Tua so they didn't have to take Geno or so they didn't have to take Kyler Murray. Are we supposed to believe Tua is better than Geno and Kyler Murray? That's why he left for $99 million dead cap space in Miami. And that's why Geno is sitting at QB1 with the Jets. Did anybody sign Kyler Murray yet? More collusion? Because he was already being colluded against, just like Lamar, just like Shedeur, just like Caleb Williams, and I can keep going. So now we get to see what it looks like when certain members of the media are tapped to derail with their words and spread misinformation via narratives based on bias, motivation. We're seeing the consequences of that. And I hope we see more consequences. And it needs to be in Baltimore next. The Browns are not far removed from Jason Lloyd because they allow him access to the team. And as long as they allow him access to the team, they are responsible for the misinformation and the defamation and sabotage and derailment and devaluation of their own goddamn quarterback. Now make that make sense. That's called workplace negligence, by the way. Career negligence. Hey, Tina, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? It said, Haslam allows his organization and players and team to be continually obliterated by the media. And that's the question, right? So when the fans have a petition for accountability, right? What they say, if they don't get it, they want to push for new ownership. And supposedly the current owner doesn't like the fact that people refer to the team as dysfunctional. But Jason Lloyd's reckless or malicious, let you decide which one it is, malicious or reckless, lazy take on Shedeur Sanders, the spreading of misinformation to derail this young man's career and to push a false narrative and still being linked and having access to the teams is exactly the type of dysfunction that fans are complaining about. There's no accountability. Zero. But there does seem to be a lot of intimidation and coercion and dismissal of players who support Shedeur as quarterback in Cleveland. And will we see more of that this year? Likely so, especially if we don't see any banning of access to the Browns or the Browns players for Jason Lloyd. The Browns are showing the fans that they're not on the side. They don't side with the players, that they side with the media. But it's the players who make this merry-go-round and the fans who support it. All that can change at the flip of a switch. Good afternoon. Hey, Anthony, how you doing? Mel said, if these things were true, Lloyd would present his lies as fact in an article for The Athletic. But he can't do that because in order to write or publish that information, he would be required to reveal his sources. So that's one bit of insight right there, right? We have, that's why he keeps saying behind closed doors, because he won't reveal his sources, but he's trying to say he got it from somewhere. And you know how unimpressive it is to say behind closed doors with no context? Again, closed doors at McDonald's? Or did you overhear in the elevator some lies and you thought it was brilliant for your career to run out and repeat lies that have been proven lies? That's why his bum is on fire. That's exactly why he's catching heat. He's catching these consequences because he did a lazy take and he allowed himself to be used like Stefanski. And maybe he feels like he'll be rewarded and fail up like Stefanski. And we see this every year. Every year there's somebody bucking for a job. Every freaking year there's somebody bucking for a job. And since the NFL now has 10% ownership in ESPN, and we just heard the announcement overnight that Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport will be on a show together, both NFL insiders on ESPN. Jason Lloyd bucking for a job on ESPN by way of the NFL. I personally think it is a disaster for Disney, the NFL, and ESPN to be in business, especially with Abercrombie & Fitch, for obvious reasons, the E-Files. Especially when you have an owner who is going to have to sell his team and wants to give it to his kids, and that's an absolute no. He should not have a choice after being in the E-Files 440 times. You see how close the E-Files are to the NFL? And people are bucking for jobs to be close to the NFL. So ESPN and Disney have decided that they want to be close to the NFL, knowing full well what's in the E-Files. 9 NFL owners. Casey Wasserman, who's over the Olympics, who's an NFL agent, who decided to shed his talent agency. I'm like, you an NFL agent. What kind of talent agency do you have? You have a representation agent. Or do you have something else? But he's still sitting at the post of the Olympics. You see? And then there's Peyton Manning and Geno Smith, the only 2 active players. Only 2 quarterbacks, 1 active, 1 inactive, in the Epstein files, and nobody will talk about it. And Geno Smith magically ends up sitting at QB1 back with the Jets, and the Jets owner is in the Epstein files. So I don't know what the hell is going on. But since the NFL only unfollowed Jay-Z, since he was supposed to be associated with the Epstein files and not any of the other people, it tells you, like there is in Baltimore and in Cleveland with the Browns and in Atlanta with the Falcons, there's a cover-up in place. One thing about cover-ups, the lids come off in due time. See, I don't know dude like that. Cause see, I told y'all I don't listen to them. And I say if y'all gonna listen to somebody over there, you might just wanna every now and then see what Rizzo is saying, because what did I say? He's close to the source. I said that. And what comes out, Adam Schefter basically says what Rizzo said is that the Browns are not counting on Shedeur. So enter Jason Lloyd to spew a hateful narrative about Shedeur. Why? Is he going somewhere? Just like he was in the draft, and y'all thought it was a bright idea to defame the most Googled athlete in the world? How ignorant is that? They didn't do any research either. They believe in themselves, and that's it. And that's their fatal flaw. You better start believing and appreciating your fans and these damn players. Because the way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. And the way things are in the Middle East, well, the flip of a switch could change it all. And then what you gonna do? You're gonna be begging for fans like baseball, like hockey, like NASCAR, and you're gonna need a Michael Jordan to come save you. Sunrise from X says he never says when he was given this info. He's speaking from last year. That's what I'm thinking too. He's a Stefanski apologist. Exactly. And that's exactly what I'm thinking, that you're speaking from last year. I didn't even have to look into this too long to tell, because see, that information was already proven false, right? And here he is, he wants to repeat it. Why? I think he's bucking for a job on one of these, this merge network situation with the NFL and ESPN. Every year we get somebody bucking for a job, right? People talk about Acho. He just want to be so badly back in. Now people are side-eyeing Shady McCoy because he lost his voice clearly. So we don't know. He was at the NFL Combine. He was in with NFL Films. So all of these people want to ingratiate themselves with, I guess, the NFL. They don't want to be, they want to push their narratives and let them use them, the NFL use them as a shield, while the NFL has 9 owners in the Epstein files. Peyton Manning, Geno Smith, 2 quarterbacks. Very interesting. That is no other positional players, just quarterbacks. 1 white, 1 black, and Casey Wasserman. And only the black guy that they're associated with, who's not mentioned in any light that way, gets blocked by the NFL. So they took a black person and threw him under the bus. Geno Smith must have leverage, because he shows sitting at QB1. It said this dude should get banned from covering football. Absolutely, because he's clearly not knowledgeable. He has no credibility. I'm like, so you don't know football? See, here's the thing, right? You didn't even study who it is you were talking about. You talking about Shedeur Sanders, and you trying to say he don't watch film. Who's his father? Well put together, Coach Prime. Deion Sanders. That's why I say every now and then we need to go back to calling Coach Prime Deion Sanders. But it shows you how little they think of Coach Prime or Deion Sanders and his lasting legacy in the NFL. When in Atlanta, they still walking around with his jersey on from the damn 90s. He was all over Mercedes-Benz on each of the columns as you walk by, saying this is the house that Deion built. Even though it really was the Georgia Dome, but they carried it over because he means so much to the city. Shedeur is a global icon. That became very apparent. And the NFL knows this. And how you know, the Browns damn sure know, right? Because what happened when Shedeur was embarrassed? I was shocked with all these people wanting his autograph, right? And Shedeur and Shiloh said, have y'all seen Shedeur? They know exactly who Shiloh was talking about. And I don't even know if they knew who Shiloh was. No disrespect to Shiloh at all. I'm just saying Shiloh knew what he was doing, right? Of the two, Shedeur has the bigger profile. Shiloh knows that. He even said it during the draft. Well, if that's what they did to you, I know what they're going to do to me. So essentially, when Shedeur was in Paris, and you have all of these people knowing who he is and telling Shiloh where he is just based off first name Shedeur, like a Beyonce, right? What did the Browns do or the NFL do? They had a game scheduled for 2027 between who? The Saints and the Browns. Where did that tight end come from? Right, the Saints. It was in 2027 scheduled. They moved it up to 2026. Shedeur was QB1. All of this hatred is because Shedeur is QB1. Because there's a plan for whatever reason, and we might not understand the reason, for Shedeur to be QB1. And people don't like it. And clearly Adam Schefter had some inside information, heard some things behind closed doors. And he said, there are people who believe Deshaun, not Dylan, but Deshaun will start the season. So here is what they're telling you. They're not going to have one QB for the season as the primary. They're going to do what they have been doing. Rotate 5, 6, 7, or how many they have to prevent Shedeur from playing the most games. So whoever else they bring in once Dylan moves out. and possibly Deshaun and maybe Kyler Murray or possibly Taylor Green or anybody else that they want career, they want to derail, they're going to send him over there not to just compete with Shedeur, because there's really no point to that. There's really no point in the competition, because when they had, in 2023, they rotated 5 or 6 quarterbacks. 5 for sure, but I think there was a 6th when it was time to go for the wild card game, and he didn't play all season. They didn't have a competition. They just rotated everybody. So maybe they're scrapping the competition, and they just gonna rotate everybody and keep Shedeur from playing the most games. We're gonna clearly see what guys say about that, right? That's always our answer. We're gonna see what guys say about their plans. So it seems that maybe there's no more competition because they just gonna rotate everybody. Now, clearly there was a collaborative effort, a concerted effort to prevent Deshaun from getting out here and looking like a hero so he could get a contract and keep going on in his career in the NFL. Clearly, when we came to the table, I remember distinctly, and you probably can Google it, it was said Deshaun has played his last snap in the NFL, and I said, how do you know that? How do you know that? Because they were making sure. And Jason Lloyd hasn't seen anything like this, any collusion like this. He don't have to call it collusion because that's what it is. And it's not the public narrative. It's the truth. He just don't want to say he's never seen what people are saying behind closed doors be in direct opposite of the truth. Not the public narrative, the truth. And he's saying, I listened to what they told me, and it's not the truth. He just don't want to out the people that told him that, which you can narrow it down, that it was pretty high up in the NFL. Because nobody in baseball is telling him this. Nobody in the NBA is telling him this. So who the hell else is it? Stefanski? You want to protect Stefanski? We'll see where they get you. Required to list sources. Thank you, Mel. I appreciate the clarity on that. It said, Wardrobe says everything about him. Really an undercover food critic. Possibly. It said never had nothing positive to say. Right. And why does he keep getting invited back? It tells you that he has connections. It tells you that he's working at the behest of some individuals. That's what it tells you. Because why would they let him continue to spread a false narrative? Because it benefits certain people. And that's why he's there at the behest of certain people, which is why I said he agreed to do this, because he's likely jockeying to be on this new merged network. Let's see if he pop up over there on Adam Schefter's show. I'm sorry, Adam Schefter and Ian Rappaport's show, or somebody else's show. Maybe he's tired of the chitlin circuit, running around with the Fan and all these other low-level, magazines or whatever he does, right? The Athletic. Maybe now he wants to elevate to television instead of video on camera with a podcast local to Cleveland that most people don't know exists outside of Cleveland. That's likely what it is. Let's see. Time will tell. It said the thing is, Jason is not an insider in Cleveland. He works for Fanatics, who talks about Prime and the Sanders family like a dog. Oh, wow. Thank you for that. And I did read. I noticed it said he's a longtime Ohio. And when I looked at the sports, it was basketball for sure. But football wasn't one of his major sports. So again, he's trying to make inroads. And he's doing it at the behest of people that clearly have likely, possibly, like some other people that get paid to play football, been offered something in exchange for pushing this false narrative or for sabotaging Shedeur Sanders as quarterback, because currently he sits at QB1. So they think they're going to sit up all season long and tear down Shedeur, and it's going to work in their benefit. No, it's not. Shedeur got more fans than you could ever dream of globally, which is why that damn game was moved up. But why was it the Saints game? They could have switched it out to another team. When I tell you that the agenda is still the same from the draft, they put Tyler Shaw, Jackson Dart in front of Shedeur. The Saints clearly still feel the need to prove that Tyler Shaw was better than Shedeur, and he was not. Enters Tyler Shaw's former tight end for 1 year to block for Shedeur. Yeah, okay. You got to be a little quicker than that. I wasn't even born that night. So that's what it is, guys. Shedeur's at QB1. The Saints have something to prove because Tyler Shaw was moved up ahead of Shedeur and should not have been. They propped him up last season after they set up Spencer Rattler and made him play the toughest stretch. See, they thought they were going to make Shedeur play the toughest stretch. And he did in the dead of winter. And they thought that was going to fail him. But actually, he went toe-to-toe with Josh Allen. Go watch the 2 videos I dropped today. One is 6 minutes and one is 8 minutes. It's actually fun if you were live with us during the game. It's the live stream from the game when we were doing live commentary. So go check it out. All right, going through a few more comments. We're going to get out of here, and we'll be back tonight at 10:35. Do me a favor while you're here. Hit the like button for me and subscribe. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hype me up. Hype me up. All right, let's see who else we got in here with us today. And we thank y'all for spending y'all's afternoon with us. Some of y'all, if y'all in the car in traffic, we hope y'all can get y'all on the drive home safely. Happy Thursday, riding and listening. See, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Shout out to, is that Peter? So yeah, we got y'all on the drive home. We hope we get y'all home safely. And hey, Seven, how you doing? It said, yes, we are coming for him. Facts. It said, look at his face. JB say he hating all around. Hating all around. Blue Moon said, aren't those the same accusations made by Rex, what's his name, that were proven false? Yes, that's the whole point. Everything he's saying has been regurgitated and proven false, and the consequences were handed out like a bag of Skittles. And here he is. And now he wants to, I've never seen anything like this. So you're new to the situation and you let them play you. Okay. So you just showed us your weakness. You have no credibility in this space. That's your weakness. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm like, you have no credibility. Yeah, that's just loser mentality to come and try to derail. It's also unethical. It's highly unethical for a journalist to not do any research and to be motivated by bias or paid, motivated by some type of promise for career elevation, if that's what it is, motivated by some type of benefit or bribe to try to intentionally derail or defame a professional athlete, to try to cause harm to their career upward mobility. The things that are happening in Berea to keep Shedeur out the QB1 spot as the primary and only QB1 are criminal. I said it last year. He got robbed. I'm going to say it again. All those people standing in the shadows behind closed doors, to hell with you cowards. That's why they behind closed doors, because they know the real deal. They know Shedeur is the most Googled athlete. They know he's a global icon. They know he got 20 plus million fans riding with him, and they don't want that damn smoke. So they smarter than Jason Lloyd, right? Seeking relevance. I think he's trying to get a job. That's what I think. It's that the station should ban this guy. Right. And he should be banned from the Browns facility. He shouldn't be. He can come to Berea, maybe go to the taco spot or something like that. But he should not have access to these professional athletes. Shedeur deserves better, and the Browns need to make sure that Shedeur is protected on and off the field. They failed him last year, off the field, possibly, and on the field. Having somebody to follow Shedeur around is failing him, actually. Following him around in plain clothes, and then he gets robbed, that's highly concerning. And I don't know how the police didn't look into that connection. I mean, I don't know if they knew about it, but it would be good if they knew about it, because then they could look to see if it was motivated by jealousy in the workplace. Because you know that happens all the time. Happens all the time. I mean, what do y'all think about that? Somebody on the Browns payroll following Shedeur around off the clock in plain clothes. Oh, there you go. I'm looking for you. You know, I got to keep you out of trouble. And then Shedeur gets robbed. Was the Pittsburgh game before the robbery or afterwards? I think the Pittsburgh game was after the robbery. So why is somebody following Shedeur around after he gets robbed? I wonder if the police looked into that. I mean, that's the connection right there. That's motivation, right? Somebody on the payroll hired to follow Shedeur around. Isn't that, maybe somebody has motive that works for the Browns? Because who would pay somebody to just follow a player around? You're not a private detective. Have y'all ever heard of that in your workplace? That one person is on the payroll to follow an employee around when they're off the clock and they're not working in their private life? Have you seen anything like that? And that's the person that gets robbed at the company. I just don't know how the police, maybe they didn't know. What's that police department? They should know. They should know. Look how Dylan turned out right. And once again, it proves, JV, he has no credibility in this space. You'll be surprised the amount of people that talk football, the NFL specifically, and have no idea what the hell they're talking about. They must be bored at their jobs or they are unemployed. I don't know what the hell it is. I'm like, and they think because I'm a woman, I don't know sports. You know how narrow-minded and small-minded it is to think that a woman doesn't know sports in the era where women's sports are outpacing men's sports. That's sexist and it's ignorant. And unfortunately, that's who's spending a lot of time spewing lazy takes. Bunch of sexist, racist, just people who just miserable with life and want to control the upper mobility of Black people, whether it be a woman or a man, a professional athlete. That's what they do. They run around weaponizing their words, dismissing women, and trying to pull down or destroy, devalue, derail, defame Black quarterbacks, because quarterbacks, as Andrew Berry has told us countless times, is the most important position on the team. And seemingly, there's also a concerted effort to change that now that the majority of the quarterbacks are this close to being Black on 32 NFL teams as starters. We want to change what it means to be a starter. We just not going to have a starter. We just going to rotate 6 quarterbacks. The Browns been doing this. They tried to avoid a PR nightmare while actively instigating a PR nightmare. Make it make sense. We have receipts, facts. Anthony said, I told you, Queen, that this is Cleveland media. Keep putting out this garbage left over from Kevin. Yeah, they just want to keep it going because Kevin is gone, when basically they just exposing themselves. Then for Jason to say, Cleveland needs to cut him, he shouldn't be in the league. That is absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, he's trying to eat at Shedeur's expense. I think that that's what it is. I think he's trying to get a job. I think people wanted the narrative out there. The people behind the closed doors, we don't know where they are. Like it's being said, he didn't want to reveal his source, so he couldn't go into a credible publication or outlet or podcast or whatever you want to call it, because they could be sued. So he goes somewhere where he thinks he can get away with this type of thing, right? Which is defamation. We've seen enough of it as fans, and we're not having it, bro. So yeah, his lazy tape involving no research, shrugging his shoulders. This is what they told me. What was I supposed to do? Oh, I looked at the data. How about you look at some damn film and shut your mouth until you do? How about you do some research? How about you do your job? That's what you should have done, Jason Lloyd. Your job. Research. Watch film. Apply effort and not spew lies and defamation. Prove them false. So we'll be back later. We'll be back tonight at 10:35 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will check in on free agency. I think, who do we have on deck tonight? The Rams. I think we said the Rams, the Titans, and the Philadelphia Eagles. So we're checking, and of course, we'll be talking about the Browns. But yeah, we'll also, in addition to the Browns tonight, we'll be talking about free agency moves and the Browns and the Titans and Philadelphia and the Rams doing anything to bolster their quest for the Super Bowl and protect their quarterback and provide weapons. And what are they doing on defense to try to help the team win and elevate? See y'all tonight at 10:35 p.m. on Eastern Standard Time on What She Said Sports. I appreciate y'all for riding out with me during the day. And if you're still in the car, be careful. We'll see y'all tonight. Have a good day ahead, everybody. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hype me up. Hype me up.